I'm going to quickly bring on deck our third panelist for this session. Laird Crow is the farm manager for the Yukon Grain Farm, which is a grain farm that's been in business in Whitehorse in the Yukon since 1999, and he will be speaking with us about his experiences at the Yukon Grain Farm and in the context of this session. Thank you, Laird.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So yeah, I'm Laird Crow. I'm going to be talking about Yukon Grain Farm and our experience in expanding the boundaries of agricultural production systems. So I'm part of the team here at the grain farm. I've been here for about 10 years. I live on the farm with my family. Yeah, next slide. Okay, part of the slideshow is honestly going to be just sharing a lot of pretty pictures as well, so I thought this one should be included. I'm just going to take a wild guess and say that probably most people participating today haven't been to the Yukon, but so some of these pictures will be hopefully enjoyable to you. Next slide. Okay, what I'm going to talk about is just a little bit about the farm, some of the challenges and opportunities we have here specific to the Yukon, perhaps, some of the secrets to our success in the Yukon, as well as touch briefly on sustainability on the farm. Next slide. Okay, so this is a drone shot of the farm, or most of it anyway. The main working parts. Yeah, just a little bit about the the geological history of the area. So at one point, about 15,000 years ago, what you see now would have been covered in ice. Then, as the ice age receded. This valley here turned into a lake, which was held back by a giant ice dam just south of us. And so what we have in this valley along the Yukon River is a mix of sandy silt and silty sand, depending where you look. So not much topsoil left to speak of. The ice all chewed that up. Where we do have good topsoil in the Yukon is up in Dawson, which was saved from the ice age, of course, being part of Beringia. Next slide. So on the farm here, we kind of have two sides to the business, grain production and potatoes and vegetable production. So I'll talk about each of those separately, but each are just as important as the other to the profitability and sustainability of the farm. Next slide. Okay, for grain, we can grow pretty well, just as good at oats and barley as anywhere else in Canada. I think we can get 110 bushel oats off irrigated land here, same with barley per acre. Wheat and field peas are pretty marginal. Winter ride just kind of depends on the winter, but these are our main grain crops that we produce here. And really, wheat and peas, we've really only added to the lineup in the last few years due to some different reasons, which I'll touch on later. But I think a big factor has been climate change. Next slide. So here's a few pretty pictures from life on the farm. There's Steve, the owner, on the combine, late September. Top right, irrigated grain crop there, and bottom right, the old grain truck hauling. So, next slide. In addition to grain, the last few years, what we've got into is oilseed production, and that has been due to a need to make our oil usage on the farm more sustainable and become more self-reliant. So what we do with all the grain, the wheats, the oats, the barley, we turn that all into livestock feed. I should have mentioned that earlier. But so livestock feed such as whole oats for horses, layer ration for laying chickens, chicken grower for broiler chickens, hog grower for hogs, etc. So we've always included oil as a fat component in the feed, and then recently we started crushing our own homegrown Polish canola and using both the oil and the meal in the feed, so for oil and protein. We also have trialed a bit of camelina here, and that oil we sell to folks with horses for a feed supplement. Next slide. Here's an example. Here's what we make with our oil press. So we bought that oil press in, I think, 2019 or 2020. The price of canola was kind of skyrocketing, and we had been just buying canola in jugs, 16-liter jugs from the superstore by the pallet, $3,000 a pallet, and incorporating it into our feed. And when price skyrocketed, we said nuts to that and put our own first crop in, and bought this press from Germany. So, and with that we make the camelina oil, which you see in the big picture on the left. And this little machine works 24/7, just cranks out the oil all day, every day, and it's been a kind of fun little new addition to the farm. Next slide. So approximately we grow on about 300 acres, 200 of which are under irrigation, and we really rely on that irrigation. We pump out of the Yukon River, which is we live on the shore of the Yukon River, so it's easy. We store about 25,000 bushels of grain annually, and like I said, we turn that into livestock feed, which we sell locally to other farmers with animals. So in Whitehorse area, we have a couple of chicken barns, a hog barn, and a small dairy. And in Dawson, we also serve the Dawson market, and we ship some stuff up there too. There's a small dairy up there and some smaller farms as well. Next slide, please. Okay, for potato production, we produce about 300 tons of potatoes annually on 25 acres, which is on a 4-year crop rotation. The vegetables well, let's just go. So when we pick our seed potatoes, the number one trait we look for is maturity, and the most important factor being an early enough skin set so that we can store and sell those potatoes year round. A lot of potato varieties, or the main one grown in Canada, probably russet, wouldn't have it's too long of a season to grow up here reliably, and the skin wouldn't set. And when I say skin set, if you look at your potato that you buy at the grocery store and it's got that thick leathery skin, well, that's what we really have trouble getting here on our potatoes. So we grow mostly a short season yellow potato variety. Next slide. Next slide. There's our potato harvester in action there. That's on a mid-September morning. Probably already had a few -5s temperatures. Just a nice shot with the mountains in the background. Next slide. Okay, so vegetable production, we grow carrots, beets, parsnips, and cabbage, as well as a smaller amount of broccoli, rutabagas, Brussels sprouts. But carrots is the number one vegetable that we grow in addition to potatoes. We do about 10 acres of carrots, and then about 1.5 of beets and 1.5 of cabbage, and 1.5 of parsnips. We produce about 200 tons annually, which we store and sell along with the potatoes year-round or until we run out. I think one of the factors to our success here, and I'll maybe touch on it more later, but is our long sunny days and our cool nights give our veggies a really sweet and nice taste compared to some of the maybe more bitter root crops you'd find from the hot places down south. Next slide. There's a shot from the harvest. So when we harvest out of the field, we fill these pallet boxes with about 1,200 kilos of carrots at a time. They go directly into our storage, and then each week we wash about 6 of those per week for sale. There's a nice turnip for you, for somebody, and then cabbage. Next slide. And just to backtrack, I guess, about the history of the farm. So this is Stephen Bonney. They started the farm in 1999, moving up from Lethbridge, Alberta. And their main goal was to produce grain for the local livestock feed market. So they saw an opportunity there with all the outfitter horses, outfitting pretty big industry up here. Hunting big game, and a lot of the outfitters use and still use horses for bringing the hunters and their equipment. And so, and those horses, of course, eat oats. So that was where the business started. Next slide. There's another shot from the grain harvest. This is Steve back in the day with the old 6620 combine. And it looks like a cloudy September day. Next slide. So the first crop, like I say, was in 2004, and then carrots, beets, and parsnips and cabbages were added in a more serious way in between 2012 and 2016. In 2016, we doubled our warehouse storage area. We now have a 6,400 square foot state-of-the-art cold storage facility with active ventilation and refrigeration, and we have about a 3,200 square foot vegetable processing area. The mission of the farm is always to be a consistent, reliable, and affordable source for locally grown food for Yukoners. So that applies both to the grain production, selling the livestock feed to other farmers in the territory, as well as to the veggies, which we sell to all the grocery stores in town and even all the way up to Dawson. We try to be cost competitive with what's being brought up from the south, and that's important so that Yukoners can afford what we're producing. This is Steve with the potato planter, 4-row potato planter. Next slide. Okay, secrets to success in a northern community. That's a nice broccoli. Next slide, please. Okay, I guess part of the success in the north here that we have is it comes down to these 4 things: knowing your market, diversifying, scaling up, and investing. And then last one somehow didn't make it on my slide here, but is value adding. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a quick geography lesson for those who recap for anybody who needs it. So you can see a white horse there in the top left of that picture, pretty far away from anywhere else important in the country. So we've got about 2,000 kilometers from Edmonton. Our population here in the Yukon is about 46,000 people, and most of those people live right in Whitehorse, the territorial capital, 37,000 people. So with that distance from any other major center, we do carry the freight advantage as far as local food production goes. So if we can grow a carrot up here for, almost as much as what they grow it down there in Edmonton or wherever for, then we gain that the difference in what it would cost to freight that carrot up here. So that's kind of special, and that's the farm is heavily built on that one main thing. So knowing the market up here is important. 42% of Yukoners are actually employed by some level of government, so either First Nations, local, territorial, or federal. And so I guess broadly speaking, one might assume that government employees have a certain level of job security and affluency so that they can afford, to buy slightly higher priced carrots or potatoes, or at least think twice about it, or not think twice about it. Next slide. Okay, success. One main factor in success up here is also diversifying. So when Steve and Bonnie started the farm, they started out just grain, but they quickly realized that the market here for grain was not big enough just to have a farm growing grain. They weren't making enough money to make it sustainable. So they had to look at other avenues of sales. So Steve had some experience with the potato industry in Lethbridge, so that was the first thing to turn to. And then along came carrots and everything else. As far as farm business goes, the grain versus potatoes and vegetables, it's about 50-50 farm profits, but it's 20%, 80% labor. So there's a lot more of us. There's a team of 5 of us full-time here, plus 5 part-time, who help mostly with the vegetables, and then a few of us are more dedicated to the grain, but certainly most of the labor on the farm is dedicated to vegetable processing and production. But it goes the opposite way as far as land utilization. Of course, you need a lot more acres of land to grow grain versus potatoes and carrots. Next slide. Scaling up, so that's I guess just thinking big. So trying to maximize. So for all the market opportunities for the small market we have here, you just have to try and take full advantage of it. Sell as many potatoes as you can, sell as much grain as you can to make this a working farm that pays the bills and pays wages. And with that, of course, economy of scale comes increased efficiency and productivity. Here's a shot of Leslie, that's Steve and Bonnie's daughter, in the potato storage. Next slide. Okay, investing is always important, of course, in any business. Special up here, I guess, is equipment. You want to, when you bring something 2,000 kilometers up the highway to this remote place without any kind of service center, for agricultural equipment, then you want to bring up something that's quality, simple, and easy to repair, and that's something we abide by carefully. And with that, equipment, of course, is good maintenance. You also want to invest in skilled and knowledgeable staff to make the farm work. So, as I say, there's about 5 of us full time. Some of us are in this picture here, and Steve and Bonnie, I'm one of them, invested in us, and most of all of us have been here for at least 10 years, some more, some less. So. Next slide. Challenges and opportunities. So just to touch back on the maintenance thing here, in this picture I'm driving a 1975 New Holland stack cruiser picking up straw bales off the field. So this machine gets used for about 7 days of the year, but we keep it tuned up and running, and each year it goes to work just great and does its job. And so there's an example of what good maintenance gets you. Next slide, please. So there's lots of challenges growing in the north here. Of course, farming is tough anywhere, but here's a few things that are maybe specific to the north. So a remote location means that we have a limited market, which I've already touched upon, with a population of 46,000 people. Equipment repairs and parts are hard to get, and repairs are hard to do. You have to pretty well know how to do everything yourself. There is a few specialized service trucks which will come to the farm at a premium price, of course, and but we try and take care of most things ourselves through good maintenance, and then industry expertise and support. So we don't have that, in the south where you might lean over the fence and ask your neighbor, "What should I do here?" We don't quite have that convenience. So that's just one of the challenges here. We do, of course, are in touch with farmers in the south over the phone or through whatever to ask questions from time to time when we're stuck. We have a short season. That's kind of a given where we are. We're a semi-arid place. We rely on our irrigation to grow. We have, with climate change especially, we have unpredictable weather. And then weather each summer, it seems like we've got a fire or a flood or something somewhere. So, and that seems to be becoming more often with climate change. The labor force, we're not a territory full of farm families here like in the south, and so it's hard to find skilled agricultural workers. Land availability and suitability, so it's a huge territory, but not all of it is suitable for agriculture, of course. It's a lot of trees, a lot of bush, and a lot of mountains, a lot of permafrost, and land availability is the other thing. There's only so many agricultural parcels available to use, to buy, to rent, or to get. And then the last one here, it's breaking into the grocery store supply chain. So when we're dealing with outfits like Superstore, they tend to run on kind of autopilot a little bit, and they're, the easiest thing for them is to bring just stuff up from Edmonton or Vancouver and just go about their day. So to get our stuff in the stores, we have to work at it because it's just not part of their normal day to day here. Next slide, please. Opportunities, plenty of opportunities in the Yukon as well, and climate change, interestingly enough, is one of them. I touched on it earlier, but with our lengthening season, we can grow things like wheat and canola, and more reliably. And midnight sun, well, because we live in the north and are almost at the Arctic Circle, we do have lots of sunlight. Not 24 hours of sunlight, but lots of it. And so that, with the short season, the midnight sun kind of makes up for it almost. We have excellent community support for local foods. I think people do look for our stuff in the store. And then we have good breeding programs from the south for institutions like University of Manitoba, creating these early maturing breeds with good cold tolerance. Yukon agriculture is a growing industry. It seems like each year there's another little small farm added to the list, which is great, and that's great for everybody because it means the whole industry grows a little bit. Government support is somewhat easier to get here, I think, as far as funding goes, because the government is encouraging local agriculture production. So we have things like CanNor, it's the Canadian Northern Economic Development Agency, that funds big projects, as well as SCAP, which is available nationwide. But I think, and then up here we don't have any supply management. So for anybody looking into getting a big chicken barn here, well, that's one less hurdle to jump through. Next slide. Sustainability on the farm, because that's what this is all about. Next slide. Okay, so when we think about sustainability, one of the first things that comes to mind is, of course, our children. This is my daughter, Maddie, and of course, we want to farm in a way that so that this farm will be here for the next generation. Part of sustainability on the farm is not only environmental sustainability, but I feel also socioeconomic. So in order for the farm to be environmentally sustainable, the farm also has to be making sufficient income to invest in new technologies and so on. I feel like that the local food production is the number one important thing in the territory here to boost that, because anything we grow here doesn't need to be trucked up those 2,000 kilometers. For example, okay, here's just of the 25,000 bushels that we grow here of grain, that's equivalent to approximately a 10 truckloads of grain that it's not coming up the highway. So that's an interesting number. And so it's important to make advances in sustainability where possible. Next slide. Okay, some of you may recognize this fellow from the University of Manitoba community. It's Gary Crow, my dad, on one of his visits up here to the Yukon. So just to wrap things up, food security in the Yukon it's a fragile thing, and any amount of local food production is just helping, I think. There are opportunities for agricultural expansion in the north, but unique and diverse challenges require careful management and resilience. Any advances in sustainability is the path towards better business and better farming. Next slide. So that about wraps it up. I want to say thanks, especially to Kim and to Peter for reaching out and including me in this conference. It's been a privilege. So thank you very much, everybody.